So hello everyone, Modern here, welcome to my review of Ballroom episode 13. A really good episode, I really loved it. It's a great episode, right? It's Chinatsu coming in here. It's tells that episode. Best scene right away was the cover scene. I was like laughing out loud. I know it's really late here, and I've been doing that the full day. My hair's going crazy right now, yeah, so I'm super tired and so on. But I lost my voice during. I was like laughing for like a minute or so after that cover scene. You see, Sengoku all muscular and Hogo just like, oh yeah. And of course, Chinatsu loves it. He's like, yeah, she's on. That was just awesome. That scene was fantastic. And of course, everything with her and Hogo was awesome. She's like, can I have a hug? It's like, come here, girl! It's like, I just loved that. That was awesome. Come here! Okay, my voice is really bad right now, but I want to review right now, and I'm super hyped about anime still. I use it right now, right? I'm still in the hype mode, right? Because that was really, really funny. One of the fun animes I've seen episode-wise in a long time, I think. Excluding like comedy anime, right? Like, so she watched something like Gamers last week, this week. No, that's like a comedy anime, right? So you expect to be laughing a lot. But you watch something like I compared to My Hero or something, yeah, which is not a very comedy episode, but it has some jokes every now and then, right? So that's something I don't give credit enough to Ballroom Youkoso. That is really, really fun, right? Sometimes I don't say every episode, yeah, but like this episode here, they had a lot of like drama, tension, new character, but also a lot of comedy. Like, I was laughing out loud over and over again here. Every scene with Hogo was awesome. Both awesome, but also really funny. And her fighting with Hogo, also funny, right? And so on, yeah. And then all the interaction with Chinatsu also was really, really funny. So I think that's something I have to really point out again here. That I think a lot of people maybe not. Yeah, that's something that you might forget about with Ballroom Youkoso. That actually is really comedic, well it's like a comedic episode or the moments there. But anyway then, Chinatsu, best girl. I like her a lot so far. Definitely a lot of mystery. Not a very like open book, right, with other characters. Yeah, Maku, I mean, Shizuka perhaps, but Maku was very, very an open case. Right? He was like, okay, I have this thing, my brother is mean to me, but not really. Yeah, so kind of obvious what her goal was, and so on. When you see Chinatsu, of course, is like, okay, yeah, she has, I don't know, I'm not a manga reader, so I don't know what it is about, right? But I say, okay, either it's some kind of tragic past, maybe, that I can't do for this thing, that she's a mind suddenly, and of course she got back and forth things like Sundra and angry mode and so on, or is it that she just never danced, actually? So all comments that to her, she's like, you probably never been led right, yeah, because my general theory is that she is kind of like a reverse Tatara, right? She's standing at home, just looking at it for years, loving this thing, or reverse, like in essence, loving it for many years, it's like theoretically studying it a lot, and kind of knows dance and so on, but has no real experience, and she's a very dominating personality, right? So it's like bad at actually being led. That, I think, is one of the main things. It's probably something more as well, but that's my theory about it, generally. But it's very interesting at least, and obviously she's pretty much the reverse of Mako, yeah. She's probably opposite of Mako, which also means Shizuka is pretty mid. Yeah, but I would say so. Shizuka has been in both aspects, right? She's much more dominant than Mako, but also more lenient and nice, and of course Chinatsu is like an older side of it. She's extremely Sundra, bit little, right? And so on. So again, I think it's good for the anime. I think it's good for the sport version of the anime, or that's for the sport aspect. I guess a better word for it. They look at it as a sport, and it's like, okay, so he's doing this sport, right? And depending on what partner it's with, it's very different. And now he has a very dominant partner, and then of course from a very like submissive partner. So yeah, like how is that gonna react? How is that gonna change his behavior? Or how is that gonna act for him to do this actual sport? So I think it's very good here, showing different angles and so on. And also, of course, episodes start out pretty good, I think. Talking to other people and so on, saying that, like, yeah, like, how to get a partner? Like, matchmaking, like marriage? Like, nah, I mean, you meet someone and with connection, and you try to that story and see if it clicks and so on, right? So I think they were setting up pretty nice there. And also Banba, that was funny, but also weird. That was weird. I'm not saying that was wrong, so that, yeah, she looked at the weight, but it was kind of like, oh, Banba's actually very attractive now. And then he was like, what? And then just, didn't talk about this. He's moved on, right? That was kind of weird. And so to say it again here, Banba tant, I should call it where I'm coming from. Really, it's kind of funny, but it really means like, yeah, it's hard to say it, but it's like lunch lady, cafeteria lady, or something. There's a better word for it than said earlier. Something like that. So that's a Banba, and I think it's all in the west coast of Sweden. So it's not even universal even in Sweden. It's something more like the Gothenburg dialect use the word Banba, and it's kind of the meaning so on. But it basically means like, or derogatory, but it basically means like old lady that puts out food or something. Yeah, it was like a weird, it was like a really weird word for it. Very specific word that they usually use. It's like slang here, right? Or here, but like around my home quarters, whatever you want to call it. So that was like, yeah, like, so it's gonna be even more funny, very like meta funny for me, but it's like, Banba attractive? That doesn't make any sense, it's a cow. I was like, all Banbas are ugly. Yeah, it's like, that's kind of in my head there, because Banbas are always like looked at as, like, yeah, this old, like, 70 plus ladies that like are, yeah, and doing this thing because they were bored, so they just go to school and work because it's like an hour of work or something. Instead they have food, yeah, go to like shelter or something, which is of course great. I'm saying it's bad. I'm saying that there is like the word is kind of subconscious. Her name there just fit the Banba explaining. He's like, Banba is a cow, so it fit perfectly, and that's super attractive because obviously they also are attractive Banbas, right? Of course, as in everything is, they're attractive teachers, so on, obviously. Like, obviously, oh, no, come on, obviously. Like, for example, my dance teacher, she was very attractive. When I was in high school, I had a dance teacher, right? He was very, very attractive. Probably the most attractive teacher. It's kind of like, yeah, she was a dancer, so that's probably kind of common. No, but like, obviously, the gym teacher or like some more physically teacher is usually the best looking, right? But anyway, so also it was a pretty good part too. The general thing there, setting up and so on, and of course all the guys like, I never see this. And then they get to her, then they get to Chinatsu. I haven't figured out what her stuff is yet. So I say it's Terry I mentioned earlier, but generally though, talking about scene by scene with Chinatsu, I do really like them. I mean, I'll say that it's a pattern. I really like them. They're really funny. I like that, like, yeah, the tongue. Just tongue on me, that's great, and all the scenes where she's kind of go back and forth between being like Sundari, Baka, that kind of behavior, Tatara. And then the next scene she sees Hogo and Sengoku, and she's like, oh my idol! It's like, please call me Shishan. She's like, never, leave me alone, crazy woman. I love those things. Yeah, she go back and forth. That even like cements her Sundari even more, right? Because she's like super cute. Super nice to him when it fits her, right? She's like, yeah, call me Shishan. Never in my life will I call you Shishan. I was like, awesome. Love that. Say again, obviously the best season again. Was asked for the cover and then the autograph, of course. It's like, I'm your biggest fan, die fan. And of course, I really like Hogo, right? I mentioned it in my review of the whole season 1 of it. And I love the supporting characters, very quick. Who's a character, of course, kind of the nice, smoochy, Obasha. It's like, oh, this, you have a girlfriend, Tatara? Let me help you with that. It's like, yeah, it's like, come here, girl! Come here! So I'm spinning her around. It's like, what is this scene? Oh my god, I was still laughing about it. I love that scene. She hugs her, and she just spins her around. And like this flower with like petals of red flower that's swirling around them, and they're like, what is happening? Whereas the cook is like, yeah, that's my fault. She always does this. It's like, okay, apparently he's used to this thing. But that was really great. But I think that, yeah, the comedy of it was awesome. So I definitely believe that every episode, but the coming episodes are gonna be really fun, right? Seeing Tatara and Chinatsu, funny, awesome, yeah, everything. It's like they really have this nice chemistry, right? So I think it's very important for. That's something that I not mentioned enough, I think, in Ballroom. I mention it like a lot, but not just talking about specifically. But of course, a lot of other sport anime, and I watch pretty much all sport, but last sport anime. And this is more about the teams, right? So either it's a single sport, like tennis, or it's well, it can be dumb, but mainly it's like a single sport, or they are much more in teams, right? It's like ice shield, Kurokun and basket, you watch pedal, you mentioned so on. Right? Those in teams, and Ballroom Youkoso is interesting because it's one of only a few sport animes that I would say that too. That is really focused on just 2 people, right? And the partnership. And I mentioned it earlier, of course, I mentioned it all the time, but I just said it again here. It is interesting because it really carries that over to something like a romantic thing or something outside, right? So we have something like, I don't know, Kuroko, they're playing basketball. Yeah, they have the friendship, they have this like, I'm your light and I'm your shadow, they have this yaoi stuff, so on. But generally, it's kind of like, we are a team, right? So they're hard to carrying out the whole like the Nakama spirit or whatever, and they do it in Kuroko, and it makes kind of sense, but also it's kind of silly because you can have to like really enforce 2 characters in one team to be the best friends of friends and so on, right? And it becomes kind of ridiculous. It kind of works in anime and manga, but it still is like it's a little disbelief, right? But with this anime here, then this is interesting because it's dance anime in the sense, and they really have like, okay, these people are a couple on the field, and they can be a couple outside. Also, they have to be couple outside. But it's more like they are a couple on the field, and then their relationship is really carried over, right? How they act so on outside it, and it's much more sincere, it's much more makes sense, they're fighting and so on, and how it affects the sport. So that's something that this dance sport really makes a lot of better use of, right? Than I say most other sport anime. Kind of how automatic it does that, but it's interesting to see it, right? How it's like she leaves things like, I'm silly, why does that to him and so on, and they kind of do things. He asks her, I was like, did he ask me out? Lame. Yeah, like that. Those things are of course something you don't really find in all sporting. So I like it a lot, and even I say that Ballroom is interesting in the sense that it feels like it should be really shoujo romantic, that it really isn't. But at the same time, some underlying factors that is very much like, is she asking me out? Is it likes me? No, it's my problem. Never see them in school later on. It's like, Chinatsu-san, could you please? Yeah. She's like, huh? What's wrong with you, boy? Wanna dance? So on right there. And though her friend and her friends like, huh? She's dropping us for that guy. Yeah, so they have that kind of going for them, right? Makes it even more interesting. And then also, well, that being said though, I'm not saying it has to be like this. Maybe I read too much more comments on YouTube, but it does feel though that it is very much set in stone that she is his like partner, both on side and off side, right? In a sense, because it's like, okay, she's in his classroom, sitting next to each other, so they can really relate and touch each other and so on much and grow their relationship, right? So it's kind of like stars align that they have to be together now because they are not just together on the dance floor, but actually all together, people all the time in school as well. So it kind of automatically makes them the couple, right? And of course, her friends and so on will observe that she's always leave that guy. Does she love him and so on? That kind of has a dramatic feel to it. Where if he was with Mako or Shizuka, was in the class, but it was kind of like, didn't talk so much. And then with Mako, right, which is actually his actual first watch, so to speak, they were different schools when they were younger, they never really met each other except at the dance thing. Here it is like, yeah, obviously he's gonna be her partner for a long time, I guess, or at least like for a different time, and definitely it's gonna affect people around them, right? So it's even more open that, okay, they're gonna have some kind of off romantic thing. Well, not romantic thing, but at least people are gonna be observing it, right? It's gonna be like changing maybe how they act in school, how they talk to each other at lunch or something, right? So that is something as well that I'm interested to see how that's gonna moving forward, how that will be, right? Because in Machio it was nothing of that because it wasn't the same thing. And Shizuka he never actually teamed up with, so even if it was in class it really mattered. So that's also something that could be funny. And so far, I mean, I really like it. They have really good chemistry. They're really funny together. So I think it's gonna be great. So anyway, that's my review episode. I think it was a really good episode. And I say again here, I think I emphasize that it's really funny, right? Like I love the chemistry, very important. But I think also that, man, this, for me it's a sports genre, right? As most shonen and sports, they usually have a lot of comedy. Not a lot of comedy, but every now and then it's comedy, they have slapstick humor and so on, right? But this episode was really funny. This episode was ridiculously funny. And yeah, it really succeeded in making it like, wow, I love the Hogo and Sengoku especially. Really funny. The cover part. I love the cover. Oh god, I love the cover. Anyway, seriously, have a great day.